Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of Adam Answers. For this episode, I'm going to answer a question that was sent to me by Tim Robinson. And Tim submitted this question by LinkedIn, actually. It says, I noticed that some clients, particularly if they are very practical thinkers, the preferred future doesn't seem to sit so well with them. It's almost as if they think, yes, that would be nice, but it won't happen. Is it resource talk that helps place the preferred future in reality for the client? And does it matter if they are not buying the preferred future description yet? Can simply describing it be helpful? Tim, thanks for a great question. So one of the things that I think that you are getting at is that sometimes people get to some point in the desired outcome or in the preferred future description, and they will say something like, yeah, that sounds nice, but I don't really think it can happen. And there's a big part of the question that in essence says it doesn't really matter if they buy it yet or not. There's a big part of it really that just the description does just matter. The more that we rehearse something, the more that we think about something, the more that we entertain something, the more it becomes something really meaningful. It also gives our brain something to attend to. It gives the more depth that we can use to describe something, the more that it can trigger these new neural pathways that we're developing. And so on one very practical level, it doesn't actually matter, but on a different level, I would say it does matter that they're buying it. And there are some things that we can do to help it sit better, to use your words. So one of the things that I would say is we have to back up one step and we have to get a real rich desired outcome. We have to get a desired outcome that is abundantly clear to them. And we have to go get a desired outcome that's more than just something perfunctory. We have to get a desired outcome that's really meaningful. This is one of the reasons that I've started talking about the desired outcome as an identity transformation. When we get a desired outcome that is about a portion of an identity or the identity that they want to have, then what happens is it becomes something that's really rich. It becomes something that's really meaningful. An example is I get a desired outcome of I want to be happy. Whereas if you follow that through and you say, what difference would it make? Then they can say like, well, then I would be able to get the job that I was really hoping for. And if you got the job that you were really hoping for, what impact, what difference would that make? Well, I would be able to help people. I would be able to change people's lives. And if you became the kind of person who could help people and change their lives, what difference would that make to you? Well, then I would feel like I was living in line with who I'm supposed to be. So the difference between happy and living in line with who I'm supposed to be, that's a remarkably different desired outcome. And if we can get closer to who I'm supposed to be, then that's an identity component. When you get to an identity and a desired outcome, and then you move it into the preferred future, it becomes a much more realistic or a harder reality to argue with. Because if I just say, suppose tomorrow you wake up and you're happy, somebody can say, well, but I won't be happy because this is still happening and that's still happening. But if I say, suppose tomorrow some change happens, some shift happens, and you become the kind of person who you're supposed to be, what would be the very first thing that would let you know you're in line or you've taken a step in the direction of being the person you're supposed to be? That's a much harder desired outcome to refute. It's a much harder reality to say, well, but I don't think that could happen, because that is something that is progressing, right? It's something that like I become more of the person I'm supposed to be. I become more of the person I'm supposed to be. And it can be incremental. It can be stepwise. So one thing that we can easily do is just say, tap into an identity. But a second thing we can do is we can say, suppose you take the very first step to becoming that identity, to becoming the person that you think you want. That way it also becomes irrefutable again, because I can just take one step, and that doesn't mean that I have to go all the way to now I am the person that I want to be. Breaking it down to something smaller and making about progress, noticing the first step. And if you then noticed that you had taken another step toward becoming the person that you want. So those two things, making it about identity and making it about process or progress, one step at a time, helps it to become much less refutable. Because if I design an entire desired outcome around like, now I am the person that I want to be, then somebody can easily say, but I'm not yet. But if you say, if you've just taken the first step to becoming that version of yourself, it's much easier to describe. The third thing that I would say is that we can ask questions that deepen the meaning, deepen the importance of what we're talking about. Even if I stick with just a desired outcome of happy, I want to be happy, I can say, what difference would it make if you were happy? Well, then I would be able to smile more often. And who would be the first person to notice that you were smiling in this way? Well, my partner might notice, right? If I just leave it at that and I go to the next detail, of like, well, what would your partner notice when you were eating breakfast that would let them know that you're happy? That might be sufficient, but I can add some depth to it, and I can say, and if your partner noticed that you were smiling in a way that meant you were genuinely happy, what would they notice that would be different about this smile than other smiles? What impact would it have on you to be able to share a happy kind of smile with your partner? Do you hear how adding some meaning, some depth to the interaction makes it much less refutable? Because now I'm saying things like, well, it would mean that I'm a good person, or that I'm a kind partner, or something like that. And here again, it's getting to a place of identity. And so adding some meaning, some richness, some depth to the description can also help it to become a bit more unrefutable. So hopefully those 3 tips will help you in your efforts to create preferred future descriptions that kind of land or sit a bit better. If you have other questions, please let me know. All of you comment in the chat, let me know what you think. And if you have questions, please send them my way.